Wudang Qigong第一节. Thank you for watching my video. I'm Terri Morgan, and I'd like to present a little bit of our Wudang Qigong. The first form, first movement, is very simple, but it includes all of the fundamentals for Qigong practice. Breathing, inside and outside connections, upper and lower body connections, and all of the internal connections that are part of traditional Qigong practice. The movements themselves are straightforward and use the channels, the meridians, and the dianshui, the different pressure points or the different acupuncture points that are taught in traditional Chinese medicine. So the hand position uses the Lao Gong connection to the lower Tantian. So when we start, the hands come here. Now, I'm female, so my right hand's going to go on the outside, left hand on the inside. If you're male, it's going to be the opposite. Left hand on the outside, right hand on the inside. This is a natural difference between men and women. There are many such natural differences. It does not affect the ability of a person to learn or to perform well. It's simply something that we pay attention to. The same as you pay attention to different body types. So my body type is a little bit round, a little more round now than it was a few years ago, but I'm round. There are some people who are very straight. There are some people have a T shape. Some people have an A shape. It's a body type. It gives you certain capabilities. It gives you certain advantages in doing certain types of movements. So it's just something that we recognize that exists. It's not something that, oh, well, this person has an A shape, so they have to do this certain thing. No. They're going to have certain advantages over someone that has a T shape. Just like someone has a T shape will have certain advantages over the other person. This is a little bit more advanced, comes into play with some of the more complicated, if you will, forms in our Qigong set, as well as in other types of practice. So the fundamentals for Qigong, number one, paying attention to the dantian and the small, the tiny, and the large heavenly circle. What's this heavenly circle? The tiny heavenly circle is in the lower dantian, the Qi Hai, or the Sea of Qi. It's a very small circle, just with the dantian, stays right there. Some people like to call it a ball. My teacher, Professor Liu, calls it the two swimming fish. Okay, so I started about 30 years ago with a trip to China, and there I met a gentleman named Liu Yuzeng, who became my teacher and has remained my teacher to this day. In the lower Tantian, he talks about the yin-yang fish. So we have one yin fish and one yang fish, and they swim together. So in the lower Tantian, we can have very simple movement, or we can have a little bit more complicated movement. It's hard to see my lower Tantian, so I use my hands. Okay, some of these things that we're learning in Qigong, there's not an outward visible thing that you can point to and go, oh, there's Qigong, or there's Qi. I can make my breath audible by using sound, by singing, and I will do that in a few minutes. But the circulation of the Qi is something that you feel. And that's one reason that we haven't made any videos up to this point. My teacher and I both agree that one of the problems with learning from a video is that it's a one-way ticket. You can watch me, not a bad thing, it's a good thing, but I can't see you. If I can't see you, I can't give you any advice about whether or not you're doing something correctly or not. The other thing videos don't do is they don't feel. My energy, you can see part of my personality already, but my energy doesn't come through on the video. You can't feel me in the video. Touch is one of the 5 senses that is not enabled in a video. So we have some limitations. I'm going to do my best to overcome those. Lao Gong. Lao Gong. The center and the palm of the hand. Connect to each other. Connect to the lower Tantian. Both hands pull up together to the middle Tantian. And then lower back. Bend the knees ever so slightly to the lower Tantian. This movement includes breathing. It includes motion through the back, through the front, through the legs, through the feet. There's a lot going on that's not visible. So we'll talk about this for a minute. Lower Tantian, middle Tantian, upper Tantian. These 3 in the front, in the back, center and the small of the back, in the center of the back, at the base of the neck. Mingmen, Jiajie, Yuzeng, Bai Hui at the crown of the head, the Hui Yin at the perineum, or the center between the center and in the middle at the bottom. Okay, the Yongchuan, the center and the base of the foot. All of these should connect through the breath, through the movement, so that the breath and the movement become one. So we start out, feet about shoulder width apart. You don't want this big wide stance. That's a horse stance, good stance, not what we want right now. Feet about shoulder width apart. The toes grip the ground just a little bit so you can feel just that little bit of pulling up through the Yongchuan. Right? Just a little bit. Knees are bent ever so slightly. You don't want straight legs. Lock your knees. Anytime you lock a joint, you prevent the flow of qi. So you want your knees bent just a little bit. Lower back should be relaxed. Drop the hips just a little bit. Open up the Mingmen in the back. Shoulders down and relaxed. No, this is not relaxed. Oh, that's not relaxed. That's not relaxed. Okay? So straight, relaxed. We talk about sinking the chest. You don't want to sink the chest. Okay? That's a little bit too much. But you don't want to stick it out either, because that closes off the jiajie in the back, the center and the middle of the back. So everything needs to be open. We want to be open. Pull up through the crown of the head. Spine should be straight. So you want to know this. Yes, right here. A little bit straight. I'm round, so let's talk about being round. Get back here. We're round. No. Yes. Okay. Feet about shoulder width apart. Toes grip the ground just a little bit. Both hands together. Lower tongue in. Breathe in. Raise up. Breathe out. Press down. Knees bend just a little bit more. Hands turn over. Pull up again. And press down. Now, as you can see, my arms are flat. It's not sticking out. I'm not doing funny things with my arms. As the arms come up, they stay flat. Know this. Know this. Flat. Very simple. And sometimes simple is harder to do than complicated. Very relaxed. She. Breathe in. Oh. Breathe out. And you'll notice there's just a little bit of space in between breathing in and breathing out. We call this the space between the breaths. Okay? So your movement should be continuous and follow along the same timing as your breath. The breath should be continuous. Yeah, well, anyway. So your movement should be continuous together with the breath. The breath should be continuous together with the movement. Both work together. The more integrated your breathing and your movement, the more advanced your skill becomes, and the more you can start to pay attention to the internal energy versus the mechanics of breathing. So let's try one more time. Feet about shoulder width apart. Hands together. Breathe in. She. Breathe out. Ooh. Breathe in. She. Breathe out. Ooh. Hushi. Breathing. Chinese. Yes, I am fluent in Mandarin. Thanks to my good friend Xiling and to Professor Liu for teaching me all these years. I've managed to gain some ability in the language. And it's important to understand a few key concepts in the language that the art comes from. Just like in ballet, you have French, and anyone who learns the ballet is going to learn some French because that's the language for the ballet. In Chinese Qigong, martial arts, in Chinese Qigong, the language is Chinese. If we were studying Japanese martial arts, the language would be Japanese. So I'm trying to translate as best as I can. Some things translate really well. Some things are very difficult to translate. Qi is one of those concepts that it's just as easy to learn it and understand Qi as it is to try and translate Qi. Some people translate it as energy, some people translate it as breath, some people translate it as dynamic energy, it's Qi. Okay. First movement, breathe in. We breathe in, the Qi circulates down, around, comes up the back, across the top of the head, and comes here to connect the Dumai and the Renmai. Dumai, major channel up the back, Renmai, major channel down the front. Return to the Sea of Qi, the lower Tantian, Qi Hai. So we breathe in and we breathe out. Qi circles at the back. And down in the front. One more time, 3 times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. This time hands separate, down along both sides. Raise the heels just ever so slightly and drop. This helps the qi to circulate. Wudang Qigong第一节. First movement of Wudang Qigong. Very simple. Raise and lower. Paying attention to the circulation of the qi through the body, coordination of the breathing with the movement. The more you practice, the better you get. Ideal time for practice is between 5 and 7 in the morning. Early morning, yang energy is rising. Ideal time. You can practice any time of day that you wish. The time that you shouldn't practice, or the least good time to practice, I guess is a good way to say it, is between 11 and 1, right at noon. Yang Qi is too strong. The same, you don't want to practice late at night, 11 midnight to 1 a.m. The yin qi is too strong. So you want to balance your practice as much as possible to gain more qi. And the best time for that is 5 to 7 in the morning. A little bit later, 8, 9, yeah, that's okay. Early morning, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 1, 2 is 1. Right? So up and down, it's 1. Relax. Be comfortable. Don't strain in your practice. Don't try and put too much muscle into your practice. That's not the point of these exercises. The point is to develop your qi, your inner energy, not muscle energy. I have a whole other set of muscle energy exercises that we could talk about at some other time. Today, that's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.